Good morning, good noon, good evening. Wherever time and place you're listening to us from, straight from the 909, it's Mark, Andre, Spirit, and myself, Isaiah. And together, that's hip-hop.
Isaiah's sudden pause within the introduction of this podcast episode kind of leads you to believe that our buddy Andre is not with us on this episode.
And he is in spirit, but physically he is not here.
Physically, realistically,
metaphysically.
AI is going to be able to fill him in. Is that right?
We're going to try to see what AI can do. We're going to try and see.
And after Allen Iverson won't be able to figure it out.
Yeah. That might be
because that's Allen Iverson's the one that's doing all this stuff, right? AI.
You know what? AI.
Are those two different things?
Well, I was gonna say like AI kind of resembles Andre in a way, like, you know, so in a way we can have like an AI, you know, of Allen Iverson, but AI also
cardboard cutout.
Yeah. So today we are resuming the episode. Andre, he has some family matters he's attending to, so of course, you know, we are sorry that we don't have him, but you know, of course, we are going to continue on for him. He suggested that we fill him in with some sort of stand-in. So whatever that is, I'm going to see if I can get a cutout of him, maybe of some sort, digitally, and see if we can implant him. So let's hope that I can actually get a stand-in for Andre here. So
we are like the Postal Service: rain, sleet, or snow.
Yeah,
we'll deliver.
We continue on as a team, you know. And that is no matter what, except for, I don't think you guys could do an episode without me, because then at that point, I mean, this is my home in a sense. So I don't know how you guys would do that. But yeah.
Again, AI.
True.
Apparently AI can just fix anything.
True, yeah.
It's the technological Band-Aid for a lot of people.
It is. That could lead into a whole nother episode. But
Isaiah, what are we covering today?
Today we are covering master, lyricist, big pun. I was going to go into something else, but it led me into big pun. So we're talking about big pun today. He's a master, skillful lyricist that is just very dominant. And I was telling Mark earlier, he was like his own world. You know, and it's like he brought his world to hip hop, you know what I mean? And we are covering Big Pun today. It's a real honor to be talking about him. Yeah. We're talking about Capital Punishment. It was released April 1998, released by RCA and executively produced by Big Pun, Fat Joe, and Matty C. This album, dude, like, I for me, when I was listening to it through, there was so much rapid fire from Big Pun. And I was just like, man, this guy can spit. Like, I know he can spit, obviously, but when you hear it fresh again, it's like, dude, like, this guy is like crazy. It's like rapid fire type of style that's just unlike anything else we've heard.
This style, though it is abundant in a lot of lyricism, a lot of syllables, deep, dense rhymes within each verse, I feel it's like it's able to be used in any decade. Mm-hmm. It is like a Swiss Army knife. It's always there with something when you need it.
Yeah.
Big Capital Punishment, Big Pun's 1998 effort is exactly that. It could have been used in 98. 2008, 88, 2018.
Right.
I would love it now. He was supposed to be a big anchor alongside Fat Joe. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows that.
Right.
Terror Squad was always going to be united front in that respect. Mm-hmm. As big as Fat Joe is, Big Pun was carrying a bigger trajectory. Mm-hmm. And that would have maybe even carried Joe along further higher. But we all knew what Big Pun was set for. He was set for amazing things. Yeah. Capital Punishment was the first the first platinum album from a Latin artist. So representing us
Hip-hop.
Latinos out as much as I like to represent the fact that
in hip hop,
like there's not a lot of us out here just spitting for the sake of.
right.
But his first album gains platinum status. Not only that, it's the first Latin album, the Latin hip hop album to go platinum. Yeah. And not only that, it was actually nominated for best rap album, getting beaten out by Jay-Z's 1998 effort, The Blueprint, I believe. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
And he was, we were watching a little video earlier where they were mentioning that he was even asking his family members, I think his sister, you think it's going to go gold? Like, how do I sound? Do I sound nice? And she's like, man, it was just weird hearing him on the radio, cause he's here talking to me and I'm hearing on the radio, and it's like weird to experience that. But it was just so cool to hear how like humble he was in a sense, like, and he was just like, hey, does it sound good? Like, check it out. Like, he was excited. He was excited about, actually making it, and, his story is really cool too. I mean, we kind of got a little glimpse of it together about his story, coming up, where he was into hip hop early age. He was into it, and, his family members really didn't understand it or why he was into it, and that I'm sure every rapper has experienced sometimes, some of that, with their own family. Like, why are you rapping? Why don't you, I don't know, like put your interest into, why don't you get into sports or something? But like, he was into this so early on, and like, look how far he got, with that skill. Like, it was so good that it just propelled him, like, up there, high status. And I think what's so cool about that is like these rappers, they make it to this peak, right? And like, he was just very lyrical though. Like the whole way through, there was just so much that he gave.
That's the astonishing part, is that there's not a lot of artists out there in the hip hop game, especially in 98 during that time, where being as lyrical as Big Pun actually was being sent off to a wide audience.
Yeah, right.
Not only that, but being accepted by a wide audience.
Right.
So the marketability is already there. I'm just speculating at this point, but with him being as lyrical as he was, that would have opened the floodgates for lyricism to be a lot more acceptable within hip hop. Mm-hmm. That would have set the precedent of like, oh man, Big Pun, platinum status, I have to be as lyrical as him if I want to get platinum status. Like, people would see that vision and be challenged to it. Right. Knowing that my style's not going to cut it, because if Big Pun was able to use a lot of lyricism, that's where I got to reach. That's where I can reach to try to get the same notoriety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then there was a lot of tracks on this album, man, and he gave a lot, man. I was just so impressed by his lyrical abilities, and I know everybody in the world is impressed by his lyrical abilities, but I mean, to be honest, I was just listening to it and just like mind blown. In my car, I was just like, man, dude, the projection of, of what he was doing. This was his first album. Like, can you picture that? Like, what more he was going to be able to bring, but what we got is still so great. And, this album, is, I think, considered a classic by a lot of people. I think in general census is that it's a classic. I think it deserves that, and reaching platinum and being the first like Latin artist to do that is like a big deal. It's a big deal. And it definitely, he definitely made his place in the arena.
Yeah, it's like the Latino rap version of Illmatic.
Yeah,
it's his debut album.
Right.
A gentleman that's as lyrical as Nas.
A guy who came out of the Bronx too. The Bronx was rich in this. I mean, I think he was coming of age like around the time of like or at least born around the time when like DJ Kool Herc was doing his thing.
Yeah.
And I think the Bronx too has a history of gang territorialism and all that stuff going on. And I think there was a time when that was trying to be put to a truce, and DJ Kool Herc comes around, starts doing his thing, and everybody kind of starts listening to the same, like, Cool G rap and different people, and like trying to like this, there was a movement happening, and that world is where Big Pun grew up in. And he like brought that world to us,
Yeah.
And I feel like there was just nobody like that guy, his presence overall too. He feels like he'd be like a funny guy, like, like he would just like,
just imagine
banter
him
with you.
Yeah.
And
Just
like,
imagine him in any respect as like a hip hop ally. I'd say that with like, he would know like sports, know his music, and like you would love to catch a free with him. Like you love him in the cypher, man. That would just be, I would be honored. Like you get me in a cypher in heaven with Big Pun, Big L. Oh man, that'd be a lot of fun.
He's like one of those guys that he's a big name. You mentioned Big Pun is like one of those big names, not that Big's in his name, but I'm just saying it's a name of high respect.
Absolutely.
That you give somebody like that. His album came out, I think, a year after Biggie had passed as well.
97, 98. Yeah.
So, this time period is, I think we talked about in Mos Def's episode. It's a very crucial time period. We're entering into the 2000s and everything, and I just feel like, with Big Pun, he was just special. We looked up earlier how there was an interview with who was the interview with? Why am I forgetting the name? Biz.
Oh yeah,
Cannabis.
So Cannabis
was talking about him, and that was just so cool the way he was talking about him, because he's saying like that Big Pun was always trying to hit him up and always trying to like, be friendly with him in a sense where he's like, giving him his props and all that stuff. And Cannabis talks about him, but he also mentions like that he was like a mutant, Big Pun.
Yes.
And talk to me a little bit about that, Mark, because you mentioned a certain thing about him that's
even
different.
Before we get into that, I like the rhetoric that Cannabis uses, like when Big Pun summons you.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not me just calling like, hey Isaiah, like come over for let's go play NBA Hang Time on the 64.
Summoned.
It's me calling Isaiah and be like, I summon you to my house. Like he's like, yo, when Big Pun summons you,
Yeah,
like
just the word choice.
Like, what is he like? What is he, Megatron, trying to summon all the Decepticons over to his place? So he was mentioning, Cannabis was mentioning on the podcast show that he was at. The gentleman, the podcast I'll be able to bring up while I'm talking about this, but he was mentioning that Big Pun has this. It's the Gorilla Nems, interview that he had about 4 months ago to this date. Cannabis mentions that Big Pun had this ability to draw in more oxygen into his lungs and was able to sputter out all the, weigh something more than 8 bars. When me in a deep breath, I could probably give you about 4 or 5, but when someone can give you 8+, that's something. And it also makes sense to when you actually hear on this album, Capital Punishment, you can hear a bunch of multis, like you can hear the one takes on there with no punching. But Cannabis can, via this Cannabis interview, you can see what attributes to that, like what contributes to this this ability that Big Pun has. And Cannabis's choice of words, he was a mutant, like one of the very few hip hop X-Men that we had.
Yeah,
apparently, where
yeah.
he was able to draw more oxygen. He's like, the oxygen that you were bringing in to have your cells function, Big Pun was used that in his rhymes. I was like, oh man, that's beautifully
said.
Saying,
yeah, exactly. Like the everything that your oxygen is usually used for, he was like summoning it to spit out these rhymes.
Oh man,
yeah. It was really funny to hear the enthusiasm that Cannabis has when he talks about people he respects in the rap game. You know, you hear that, and just the word choices alone, and the amount of not detail, but you know, I think Cannabis just gets it, you know, and he is able to articulate what Big Pun is, you know, in a very cool way. So Capital Punishment, I just want to let's talk about maybe the cover here really quick.
Yeah. Oh, but we also know with that Gorilla Nims interview that Wyclef Jean was Cannabis ghost wrote for a lot of Wyclef Jean's verse on Caribbean Connection. That's track 12 on Capital Punishment. So that's another fun fact. But as you were saying.
Yeah. So let's talk about the cover here. And we got Big Pun on the cover. You know, his head, he has his head turn. He's like kind of like side-eyeing you.
Yeah, with like some goggles tilted to the side, it looks like.
Right.
That famous font, the Big Pun font that we found in a lot of advertisements. We see it in a lot of. We saw in the Beatnuts music video. Mm-hmm. It's draped in the background as well.
We got kind of like the Punisher type of font for the Capital Punishment going on, and he just looks like, man, he's posted, side eyeing you. You know.
Yeah, that's not the look you want to get from Big Pun. Yeah. Like, that's the one where it's like, who's this motherfucker?
Yeah, right. You don't want to get that. And
who's this wise guy?
He seems like, dude, he's a tough man, dude. And he has swag to him too. On top of that, I was laughing at that because I was watching these videos about him, you know, coming out of, you know, his family and everything, and going through some hard times, but eventually when he does make it, you know, he's just, his sister said that his head kind of got big a little bit, like as everything was starting to come around and, you know, he was starting to make it. But I saw it as, man, he's just living it up, like living in the moment and just basking in it while it's all there, you know? Yeah. And sometimes I feel like, sometimes it's okay to like just
when you get close to the sun, you just come with some sunscreen a little bit.
Yeah.
Get a little nice little tan on for a sec.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Right.
It feels good to enjoy the spoils of war
and to actually see it come to fruition. You know, I'm sure he's, you know, it took work. He had to put in some good features, you know, which he did with Beatnuts and, man, there were some others with the Full Eclipse, I believe, which was a group that he impressed when he did lace his verses. I think people knew it instantly, like when they heard this dude, that he was different. Like, can you imagine this guy being our homie? Like, let's say, you know, where we're at, we go like, let's record, man, let's record, and then he starts spitting his bars. Like
we're in the like this is a scenario of Big Puns, and you know, if we had to worry about Big Pun in the Rialto rapping scene, it's me and Esquake, Andre, and by design, Andre's going to be the better lyricist. That's a given. But it's like I'm already established that he's already the better one, so I know I still have to come with it. Like we've said before on various things, if you're going to be doing a feature on someone else's track, it's by design. You have to be better so the whole track as a whole is better. And then all of a sudden just, oh, who's there? Oh, who's coming? Oh, I called Big Pun.
Open the door for me. Open the door for me. Go, baby.
Open the door for me. I hope it's not as locked above the top about beat you on the beatbox or to the D-box.
Mark, get out of the way so I can stay in a big...
And it's just, oh, man, Big Pun's here. Damn. Now you know you have to scratch all that shit down, probably keep a few things.
Oh, yeah.
And then rewrite the whole thing because now the back of me, dabba, skipping the daiquiri, like the guy was nice with.
Is there anybody else that has or that mimicked that style that you can think of? Anybody else that came with that same kind of rapid fire, multi-syllable?
You can, but you don't think of the same bravado.
Right.
You don't think of the same charisma as Big Pun. And I think that I think of Benefit a little bit. It kind of started with that, you know, in the beginning. So perfect.
Yeah.
So we can use Benefit as the example, which I hope we cover one of his, that one album. I hope we just cover it and we could just go like that to it. Right. But so you take Benefit. To us at that point in the 2000s, it was the lyrical album. But the thing is there's no marketability. There's no appeal. There's no visual to it. We didn't even know. I thought Benefit died.
Yeah, it's the most anonymous album artist ever. You know,
big pun.
Yeah,
I mentioned to you earlier before we started the show that the marketability for this gentleman was already there because even as a kid, I knew who he was.
Right. That's
and I'm like, that marketing was there. So it was very apparent that this gentleman was poised for success, not only on the skill side, but you also know he had a street team with him. You also know he had this like advertisement budget. He had the look of Bigger Than Life, you know. I mean, his predecessor's Biggie, you know. I mean, that there was kind of something there already to that. But that appeal, that bravado, the music videos will just like, while I'm talking about this, you're just going to have a swing of the music videos of him just like being there with like,
boss.
Yeah. Like, what's better than just being that guy? Plus you can rhyme.
And you got the swag with it. Come on, man. I mean,
ever since he got the monies, the honey's got nothing but love for him.
Rub my belly and man, dude. This dude was I can't say it enough, man.
The bravado and the charisma was there. Just to wrap up my point, I mean, it's just like he had all the boxes checked.
Yeah, he did. And you know, given his health issues and things like that, his weight, like that to me, like that didn't slow him down. You know what I mean? As far as like putting it together and putting it out there. I mean, it's dope. It's dope. Yeah. You know, I listened to this album and I'm just like, this was one of those weeks where I'm like, ooh, my ears feel good listening to the album.
I get really thankful the times I get to actually listen to these albums the whole week that we do. We're like Saturday Night Live, guys. We have 7 days to just like encapsulate the
whole essence of the album.
Exactly. Yeah. Just to get like this whole, like to give you a nice multivitamin of this album. We have to pick these songs. We have to do all this. But the privilege that I get is that I get to drive to where I work, but I get a nice drive, but I get to listen to a good chunk of these albums. Right. And I listen to them in the dark. I go early in the morning, but I listen to them in the dark. So all like my senses concentrate on hearing.
Okay.
A lot more than I do with actual like seeing out there. Yeah. And it's just what a blessing that I get this week with Capital Punishment because it's just you get to hear all this stuff. The intro to the album, you hear two kids fighting over their favorite superheroes. Like, nah, man, the Punisher, man. He comes in there. He's just like, he comes in there with this guns like bang, 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 bang. Like,
it's just such a dope setup to what comes after that because you have just these kids playing. It's kind of like a what do they call it? Like the urban legend kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like an attached to innocence.
Yeah, right. And they're talking about this urban legend, the Punisher. And then here comes what? The Punisher.
Yeah.
Ding. Like, I want to talk a little bit about this beat here. And we're going into Beware, which was one of our first tracks. I think that one was mine.
Yes.
We still got some that me and Mark are going to tackle through. But Beware is one of those tracks to me, and to you too, actually, but to me, where that one stands out. I remember hearing that one when I was younger and just, man, it was like sex to my ears, you know, like lyrically, like of what this track was doing, the beat. I want to talk about this beat. I don't know what sound this is. I don't know if it's one of those like instruments that are, I don't know if it's like a piano string sort of digital sound.
It sounds like a synth.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah.
I hope someone in the comments can actually like give us the real sound of this because it's like, I gave you fair warning. Yeah. Beware.
And he has Prodigy cut in here. Yeah. I mean, which alone, Prodigy's his own type of legend right there. So you have that, which is only building up this dramatic, murderous sound, right? And it's I was telling you that like my sound that I like is gritty. I like it because it feels raw. It feels like it's from the streets. It feels like it's street knowledge, you know, that's being kicked to you. And so I love that. And so you get this buildup of this murderous sound, like you're about to get punished.
Yeah,
You know, but it's vicious. It's ultimately one of those beats as a rapper you hear, and it's like, you gotta come off flex on this one. Yeah. So just picture that. That's how it starts. And then you have Big Pun coming in. Which is it's pretty nice. Let's go to
a bombardment. Yeah. It's a bombardment in the best ways lyrically. It's I'm calling out any rapper that I doubt, smack him in the mouth, throw him in the yoke, boom, then I knock him out. No doubt, Freddie Fox styles, 20 shot auto Glock, blow, Blenny block, Puerto Rican, Puerto Rock style with the twist of black, and I'm proud. A lot of multis, a lot of syllables that you're dealing with, but this guy's giving you a presentation. Like, there's nothing better than being super lyrical, but also providing a description of what you're doing. Painting a picture for because you could go, like, if I'm gonna go syllables, I could just go silly Billy, blue Billy, dilly, like you could just make up shit,
right?
But that's lyrical. But no, there's lyrical with a description. There's lyrical, but providing words that accommodate the same syllable, the ride of the syllables.
Right. We talked about that a little bit in the episode about Violent by Design. We talked about that.
It's like. And I like the fact that he actually uses, and I hope this is the same gentleman from the Smurfs, but he says, is hard as hell, but they gargamels, picking on the smallest victim, gives them heart to kill. Gargamel, the gentleman, the evil guy from the Smurfs, I like that. Like, that shit's just funny to me.
Yeah.
My squad is real and holds it down the hardest regardless because of the largest. Like, we polished the floor with the rawest hardcore artists. Flawless victory, little Mortal Kombat shout out. Yeah. Yep, can't do shit to me.
Physically, lyrically, hypothetically, realistically, it's a epitome. I'm catching wreck. And yeah. That part right there, a flawless victory, y'all can't do to me physically, lyrically, hypothetically, realistically.
I'm the epitome of catching wreck. Catch it when you cash your check. Smash it when you pass and jack you for your fucking legs. There's being that this is the perfect example of being lyrical, descriptive, and honestly untouchable. There's in any instance that you try to catch him physically, lyrically, hypothetically, realistically, I'm the epitome of catching wreck.
Right.
In any realm of endeavor you try to pursue him, the physical sense, the lyrical sense, hypothetically, even just saying hypothetically.
Yeah. That
realistically,
that line alone is I think hip hop legendary.
Oh, dude,
you know
that's hip hop quotable for eternity.
For sure. Like, you're gonna always reference this when you talk about Big Pun, and you want to talk about some of the great lyrics he's wrote or whatever. It's right here. You know, man, that line is so beautiful, and that's hip hop right there.
A little more into the second verse. I want to get more into like combo up into what he provided in the first. For real, my shit's cocked. The world has just stopped. I'm not the one you should be underestimating. Come test your fate, and I guarantee you I'll be under investigation. You can't handle the whole. I'll slam you on your skull, or we can go bow for blow like Evander and Bo. So to the boxing guys, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe had a fantastic trilogy. A lot of drama within those 3 fights. You never know. However, though, I still hold the title, so still appealing to this boxing stuff. When all my rivals a chance to dance, Mr. Homicidal, hand on the Bible, I swear to defend my crown.
I like that line right there. I swear to defend my crown, and I've been around since forever, and I'll never let it touch the ground. Ah, dude.
Don't F around and catch a rude awakening. So hopefully he's a fan of Rick Rude. Rick Rude, the famous wrestler's signature moves, the rude awakening.
Okay, I like
my crew's basically waiting patiently for you to move your patrons in. God, like this guy.
Man, yeah.
This is beautiful because he just like, he's not going to stop.
Yeah.
He understands where his strength is. Mm-hmm. The presentation of this lyricism. The lyricism itself, this is a lot to deal with in this gentleman, and this is the introduction track. Like we are on a hot streak of introducing these introductory tracks, but it's an actual, this is something that we're rolling out to people because, hey, look, these artists that we're covering on a weekly basis are worthy of that. They're their first tracks. They know they got to come off.
Oh yeah. And I just love that line there though. I swear to defend my crown, and I've been around since forever and never let it touch the ground. That alone says so much because he knows he got what he has to do. Like,
would you write that if you didn't mean it?
No. Heck no, you wouldn't write that.
I wouldn't, dude.
Because that means people are going to come after it.
There's a lot of word is bond that goes in with writing lyrics.
Right.
And I love writing stuff that I'm just like, okay, like I can, like there's a lot of stuff, I go like mystical, I'll go like all that. But if there's some things that like I vouch for, like no one's going to touch me on the mic, like I have to defend that.
Yeah.
So if there's ever an instance where like someone has to like try me, especially when I was actually like really pursuing rap, that's where I'm gonna have to defend my honor.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit because just in general with hip hop, there are, I think, rappers who will say stuff that they don't back up in their lyrics or whatever. So like, I guess it's a pretty easy answer. Like, like to us, maybe that.
Let's
really
look at it on both sides. It's just if I write something that attributes to my skill, I feel to a certain degree that I do have to defend it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like especially on the lyrical side, I take pride in everything I write and everything I've ever written. Like there's stuff that I'm just like, man, had I wrote a lot more effectively, this would have been this. Yeah. But like the stuff from the point where I'm like fully kind of aware.
Got it. Yeah. Got it.
That's where I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah. That's how I feel nowadays too. Like now it's like whatever I write, that has to be real, like, about me. There have been situations where I have wrote more like kind of like using imagination though. And like, painting a picture of scenarios that may have not have happened, but like I'm kind of like speaking them into fruition as if they will happen eventually. So there are those kind of scenarios, but for the most part, when I write something, I like to write something that is real to me, like that I can really vouch for. That's part of me, what I speak is truth, basically.
So circling back to pun on this, hand on the Bible, I swear to defend my crown. I've been around since forever and never let it touch the ground.
That just took it to another level. I swear on the Bible now that I'll never let it touch the ground.
It's almost like he's going through a trial.
Right.
So there's a lot riding on bars when you write stuff like this, and I hope that Big Pun actually would have shared the same the sentiments of what we've investigated on his lyrics here, because it's just I feel that same bond when I see a lyric like this where it's like, like I hope he meant it as much as I would in this instance.
How about the hook here? Because that's the thing about some hip hop tracks is you don't always have to have a chorus per se. You can have something as simple as a cut from another rap artist, and it's so effective. In this case, for example, you have Prodigy. I gave you fair warning, beware. I gave you fair warning, beware. Like it builds up so much intensity.
Yeah, it sounds like a horror flick in between these verses.
Right.
It's like it almost gives you those Halloween vibes, like the actual movie.
Yeah. It does.
I feel like that sometimes with that, listening to this. So then after it fades out to his him shouting out, letting everybody know where he's at, Terror Squad, Boogie Down.
Oh, yeah, you got Fat Joe
Boogie Down Bronx, the Full Eclipse
do this
crew.
For real, y'all. So they were fresh on the scene, you got to come out.
This track's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but it's the good kind of a lot, because you're able to take a lot from it. The replayability, it's all there with this.
Yeah. The thing too that we're going to get into is like, with this album, he has a bevy of features that are just like, and we're going to get into it, of like big time artists on here as well, which is a nice treat. to the album. And, you know, still Big Pun is like, again, it doesn't diminish him as an MC at all. So it's a nice treat to have these features with Big Pun, though. It's like, you know, it's like, oh, I'm so glad that we got that.
Yeah. From Wyclef to the RZA producing a beat to Expected
INS, INS, Prodigy himself, and much others. So that it's something that's nice to have on this as well, that we got that. The next track that we are going to cover is which one? Not a Player or still?
Isn't Twins before that? Isn't
Twins before that?
Oh, you know what? Because of
the main single.
So let's talk about this combo song that we have.
All right.
Because I'm Not a Player and Still Not a Player are kind of like their own Big Pun cinematic universe.
Yeah, they're like Two-Face. You have two different sides of, you know, the same song, two different sides of the coin of that same song.
Where he kind of assures you that he's not a player, but then he needs another song to let you know he's still not one. He's still not one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like saying like I'm not a murderer, but then another song like I'm still not a murderer.
Right.
I'm still not one. Just in case you guys were figuring that out.
So why did you pick this track, Mark?
Well, I picked this one because, you know, you and I decided to think about doing this song together.
Oh, they didn't ever call you anything like Mark the Player or something?
I have no idea. Like I figured that the name Isaiah would lead to Zaya the player. But I've never heard that in my life.
It's been a running joke between Mark and I. We always messing around calling each other players.
I'm not a player, you know, I'm not. I
just crush a lot.
I do something a lot.
So we got, which one are we going to do? Still Not a Player?
Yeah, we can do Still Not a Player. So Still Not a Player is going to be the remix essentially to I'm Not a Player.
Right.
This is I would say it's the marketable single to Capital Punishment. I like it.
It's definitely what put him over for
Joe. Sure. You know, the actual singer Joe, not Fat Joe, but the back and forth that they have in the beginning. I don't want to be a player no more. I'm not a player, just crush the love. I'm being the Punisher, still got what you're looking for, repping up uptown, baby. And it starts off, hey, I'm still not a player, but you still a hater. Elevator to the top, ha. See you later. So what do you think he's going up? You going up to the elevator? He ain't going up to sightsee. Penthouse suite, penthouse freaks, rent out lease.
See, I love this lavish scene that he's building, but it has so much pop sensibility to it that everybody's just vibing, even though it's like, you know, very, I don't know, just
penthouse freaks, in-house beats, French Comtesse, 10th hour piece, rent out lease with an option to buy. It's like he's giving all the real estate options too. It's like rent out lease with the option to buy, copping the 5.0 Benz when I'm not too far up in the skies. So
the twin Zito up in the Benz.
Even in the single sense. Like as far as like the single sense, as far as like this being the single to Capital Punishment, still he's able to convey this lyricism to cast a net to the modern day audience, the modern day 1998 audience.
Right.
Like that ability is, I don't know if anyone can rival that yet.
Yeah, because
it's like the gentleman's versatile lyrically. Same type of lyricism that he brings, but it's like the versatility's there.
Yeah. Like when you hear the tracks like before and after this, it's like, is this the same guy?
Yeah, you know exactly. I mean? Us reading them all realistically, hypothetically, spiritually. No, but now after that, you listen to this. It's like from Queens nickname Puerto Rico, we go back like PAs wearing PJs. Now we wreck the packet. Now we wreck the peakage, run a change for 3 days. It's like.
Yeah,
you would swear these were two different people.
Yeah, but it still carries that that accent of him in this. It's just that it's just created in a way for the masses.
Different side.
And it brings you in. You know, I think this song, this track, it's so it's so, I guess it has volumes to it that it relates to everybody. And even sometimes I think just the simplicity of a song sometimes, even though there's a lot going on here, but still there's a certain simplicity about it that makes it transcending to, I think, a larger audience. So that's what this accomplished. After it hit the radio, I mean, this caused the cash to come in and people buying up his albums, and I think that's so important as well, even though, you want to be lyrical and all that and have all those, you want to be hip hop and all that, but there is, I think, an importance to be able to be marketable in some sense and being able to at least have a track here that can, reach the masses.
And it takes one thing to actually be aware of it and actually putting it down onto one of your, onto the album itself. Yeah. Let's go to the second verse. Still, I want to attribute the ability to this. It's like, I love her butter pecan to blackberry molasses. I don't discriminate. I regulate every shade of as long as you show class and pass my test. Fat, highly intelligent bachelorette. That's the best. I won't settle for less. I want to get a brunette with unforgettable sex.
And do you hear that breakdown? I'm going to try to be Andre for a little bit. I'm not Andre, but I'm going to try it. I don't discriminate. I regulate every shade of as long as you get the class, and
so like fives and fours,
syllables
right?
He's playing around with, bouncing around, and you don't just get that. That doesn't just happen.
This gentleman is being lyrical with discussing his partners and what he prefers.
Yes.
That's a lot. I like that.
I want the ghetto brunette with the unforgettable sex. Do you hear that? I want the ghetto brunette with the unforgettable sex. You break that down syllable wise, it's crazy of what you're actually listening to. That's what's nuts about Big Pun, what he's doing here. And this is his big single, that he's doing that in there.
Yeah.
He's creeping it in there. So,
it even closes out with the classic Boricua Morena. Yeah. Everyone uses that now, man. That is a staple. Mm-hmm. If you're a Latin artist, it's kind of like the Easter egg that a lot of them use.
It's it's that one connection. It's like it's almost like the end scene of the Marvel movies. The ending credits. There's always a connector.
Right.
This is kind of like a connector of different.
And with this whole song, he just wants to reassure you he's not a player. He's just even despite showing you the cacophony of women that he likes to have, the gentleman's still not a player. Let's head over to I'm not a player. The statement first.
Yeah, I think it's this kind of reminded me right now of who is it? Too Short. His player song. That's a big song of his. I'm not sure if it's called I'm Not a Player or I forget right now.
The thing is too is that there's an actual link to all those player songs.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I
remember
so you just happened to stumble upon that, huh?
No. I remember
I'm a player.
Yeah.
It's Too Shorts. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's still this player cinematic universe.
Yeah. That
that's beyond
crazy.
Big Pun.
Yeah, the beyond Big Pun itself. There's a player.
I'm a player
universe,
and I'm playing just to play. Yeah, that's Too Short's joint. So this one starts off with a good little R&B. You're my darling, darling baby. And then you don't think anything's going to pop off. Then he's like, I'm not a player. I just jump on the top of my work, them hips till I bust a shot. It doesn't stop. I'm only beginning. I'm boning your women. When you're home alone, I'm blowing up in them, sending them back to you mad that you don't catch an attitude when I'm showing you this is how this rapper do.
It's just crazy because he's just
man.
He's just there. And he's just I'm just picturing this big dot. And he's just spitting a bunch of lyrics at you
big dot. It's
in the most respectable way, of course, but I'm just saying it's almost surreal of what, we're hearing, come out of this human, the rapid fire of this lyricism.
Filling them with cash, my cheese premium, I'm let it, come get it. First work the tongue, let the pun hit it. we can't. Like we sound redundant at this point, and I think this is the best kind of thing we can talk about when it's mentioning an artist like Big Pun, because the consistency.
Right.
This gentleman has consistency in every which way, whether it's on the hyper lyrical sense, whether it's on the hit single sense, or whether it's like, hey, let me just
his features too. Like they're consistent throughout across the board on his album, on features, on all of it.
And shout out to the OJs. I forget the OJs were the ones that did this chorus for this one.
There's a part you're effing King Papi Chulo when knocking culo, pop your mulos out the socket trying to ride with the sumo. Oh, man, you're rising high. Word, yeah, dude. It's he's killing it. He's killing it all the way through.
We get, and then he just gets really, descriptive. I bang a stranger in my torture chamber, feed the loca shokapinga when I force my finger where my bolas linger. I bring the pain like method when I flex and flip the coochie. Puerto Rican to the core, but no Barikas eat the. So excuse me for being blunt, but I've been eating cunts since Pimps was pushing pink caddies with the fish tank pumps. Yeah. So the fish tank. So since the 70s, he's been riding like this.
And I like the fact that he said this line there, like, excuse me for being blunt, like, because
how polite.
It's like, nah, dude, like, go ahead, do your thing, like, be blunt, be you. And like when he said that, it kind of triggers you to feel that way, like. It kind of excuses it, and it's like, yeah, be blunt, man.
And this track itself shows the audience that he's unapologetic,
right?
Like this is him. He's gonna be, to some, maybe a few people will decree him as a degenerate. He just enjoys this lifestyle, and he doesn't care what people think.
Yeah.
A lot of people hide behind albums, a lot of people hide behind this visage of, like, I want to be one thing. I have to show the world one thing, but I'm not. Big Pun is, maybe that's a lot of things that people saw in Big Pun is his authenticity.
Yeah, true. That actually hits home, actually. Yeah. I think about one of the things that's commonly mentioned is the cipher that he did with DMX, Mos Def, Cannabis.
Man, what an all-star panel!
Who else was there?
Mike Geronimo.
Yeah, so that was such a cool cipher to be a fly on the wall of that would have been like.
Would have been one of those drinks.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. But you watch that and what you see out of there is just like. I think sometimes we just we take these rappers for granted. You know what I mean? Like, I think I took DMX for granted at the time when he was out. I didn't realize how unique his voice was. And I thought, like, nah, man, you don't sound hip hop enough. Like, I wanted him to sound, more like underground. And that was I was only narrow minded in that sense, but I didn't realize how special and unique he actually was, to hip hop. And I regret that I was like that before. And now I see things differently. So when we see this cipher going on with Cannabis and everybody, and, Cannabis wants to go last because he knows he has an ace up his sleeve. He wants to deliver it, right? But surprisingly, Big Pun, in a way, kind of outshines him there, and I have utmost respect for Cannabis, love Cannabis, but Big Pun's verse in that cipher was just out of this world, and you can see the reaction from the guys there. They were like, "Damn, dude!"
It's at that point it's tough to beat him.
Correct,
because he's just in a zone. It's the horses at the Hollywood Bowl. They got their blinders on. They're ready to go. That was him.
Even Cannabis was like, "Dang, dude, you really wanted that last spot, huh?" Yeah, dude. I think Big Pun, in the same vein as DMX, one of those unique voices that are very special, that you'll always be grateful for.
Yeah.
That's something that I get when I listen to this album. I'm like, you're immortalized in my book. Like, when you come out and you just pour your heart into an album lyrically and all that, and even the lyrics, they actually hit to what his lifestyle is and all that, that to me immortalizes you, in my opinion. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for what Big Pun gave us here. He gave us a lot. And like to your point, very consistent too. Consistent on the delivery. It's like this guy just, when he writes, I wonder, like, does he even scratch things out and rethink it, or does he just keep going? Like, I don't know.
That writing
he might
process,
just be the one that keeps going. I don't know.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. Like, this guy, it feels like to me like it's just flowing out of him. I don't feel like he's
always feels continuous.
Yeah, that's
the funny thing about it.
I don't think he's the type to overthink either. I think he's the type to just run with whatever he's spitting out, and you're getting this like raw and uncut, like ba 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 ba. You're getting hit.
It's so much talent.
Yeah. I mean, can you think of what you're listening? You're listening to all these multi-syllables. Like, I don't even know how long.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time when he comes on is like giving you it. Like,
it's like a machine gun with a sniper scope.
Seriously.
It's just syllables. But
I feel like it's
that
like a
makes sense.
Bag, like
that hit
those,
home.
The running bag, like.
Oh, the speed bag. Yeah. Of course, yeah.
He's just on a rhythm.
But there's no like breaks.
Right.
Yeah,
It's just like, and it's not overbearing either. Like, cannabis in a sense can be overwhelming.
Oh yeah. After a while, yes. Because he doesn't. He only got one way to go with that.
Right, yeah.
And with Big Pun, we're introduced to his multifaceted style.
Yeah, and that I don't know what to attribute that to, whether it's just pure raw like talent, I guess, but he definitely poured out some skills, dude. What's the next one we got? The
Deep Cover. Twins. Oh. Yeah, Twins. So this beat's gonna sound familiar to you guys because it's gonna be the deep cover. The deep cover song from Dre and Snoop.
Yeah, they're paying like homage to Dre and Snoop.
So they got permission from Dre and Snoop to use this beat, and so they got that. But it's just, man, when you use this beat, good Lord.
Does anybody else use this beat, by the way? There's been others, I think, right? Maybe.
It was used on Chappelle's show.
It was.
Yeah, I remember I don't know if they used, I believe Snoop Dogg. Yeah, Snoop Dogg used it at the end of his performance. He did deep cover, but then he did deep cover on the end of Chappelle, with the Chappelle show performance.
Oh, dang.
But I think
that's dope about Dave Chappelle too, is he liked hip hop.
Yeah, because Snoop Dogg did a skit. He did a voice on a skit with Chappelle's show, and then at the end of that very episode, they do deep cover. But I don't know whether I know Dre wasn't there to do his other part, but I know that it was one of the first instances where they do a live performance, and Dave Chappelle's dressed up as Tyrone Biggums, the crackhead from the Chappelle Show series, but. More like the one time I really remember this joint was in True Crime Streets of New York. So I'm playing it on the PlayStation, and I'm just all here, dum, 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 sure ready for war. How do you want to blow the spot? I know these dirty cops that'll get us if we murder some wop. Dude, you can't
hop in a Hummer.
Yeah, hop in the Hummer. The Punisher's ready.
The Punisher's ready to meet the Vitos with the noodles and the Duwally slurping spaghetti. Yeah. Dude,
dead in the middle of Little Italy. Little did we know that that we riddled two middlemen who didn't do diddly. Him and Joe are going back and forth on this song, talking about holding up a spot, just doing their nefarious deeds out in New York. It'll be a cold day in hell. I'll take it now. Make no mistakes for real. I wouldn't hesitate to kill. I'm still the fat one that you love to hate. Catch you at your mother's wake, smack you, then I'll whack you with my snub tray 8.
Oh man, there's a part in here where he goes.
So we're going
off,
back and
though.
forth.
There's a part where he goes off though. Like,
oh, okay.
Like there was what part was that?
Oh, it's this. Oh man, so I felt overwhelmed when he goes. I'll rub your face off the earth and curse your family's children like Amityville and drill the nerves in your cavity filling. Insanity's building a pavilion in my civilian. The cannon be the anarchy that humanity's dealing.
Woo, woo, woo.
You mix in Amityville horror, the issues that you get with like dentistry with cavities filling.
As soon as I heard that made me cut the tape.
No one's used Amityville up to that point.
Do you hear what I'm saying? That literally made me stop the tape.
Oh.
You know how we say that? Like, we joke about that
stop
sometimes.
The tape.
Stop the tape. Like, no, that literally made me stop the tape when I heard that, because that was like a moment. Because I think the beat, I don't know, am I right or wrong? Did the beat pause on this part while he was doing that as well? I think it had to, man. He went off. If it didn't, I felt like it did.
And if it didn't, that verse outshines the whole instrumental at that point.
It does. He took over.
Like Amityville and drilled the nerves in a cavity filling. Insanity's building a pavilion in my civilian.
Man.
The cannons be the anarchy that humanity's dealing. So it's just like the turmoil, what you're dealing with, especially in 98 at that time. You're dealing with Princess Diana dying, dealing with a bunch of bullshit. So it's just like everything that humanity as a whole, let's just compound it into a projectile and shove it into a cannon.
That's basically what he did. That's basically what happened there.
I support and see, this is how I want my boys to fucking like rep me in a song. Yeah. Literally in a verse, I support Pun in anything he does, anything he loves. A brother from another mother sent from the above.
Ooh.
A thug just like me, one of the best, might be even better, kneeling on the right knee. Spike Lee couldn't paint a better picture. You small chains, I'm blowing at your brains, getting richer.
Hit you with the Mac, smack you.
Getting stuck.
That's the thing, is Fat Joe has always been like, it's almost like 1 and 2. Like he's always been close to Big Pun. I almost felt like somehow maybe they were distant cousins or something. It feels like they're related, even though they're probably not.
I think that's why they attributed to the twins. I think for a while they called them twins, but and you don't stop.
This beat is legendary though in itself. The background or the backdrop to Big Pun lacing it the way he did, was already legendary. And like you've famously said, Mark, and whenever you do a beat that someone's killed it, you cannot do any less than that. And Big Pun obviously knew that here. And I think that's why we got him ripping it a little extra than what he actually does normally. You know what I mean? Like I felt he did a little extra on this one. And it's funny because earlier me and Mark were listening to interview, and you heard Fat Joe on there, and Mark's like, dude, why is Fat Joe like snitching him out on
Beyond the Grave? He's just like, Big Pun didn't really want to do stuff, and
he had all this going on. He had
I don't want to say nothing, but like, and all of a sudden he just literally naming all the stuff that could have got him convicted.
In fact, they kept cutting back to him because he was spilling so much beans. They just kept cutting back to him.
And the image is literally, it's in the most literal sense. It's Fat Joe just chilling on a couch, laying out, and just his hand, two fingers on the temple.
That's funny.
And it's like just him just releasing all this information that could have got him 5 to 10.
Oh, that's funny.
They do later on in the verse, they pay homage to Deep Cover when they say, "Creep with me as I cruise in my Beamer. All these kids in the ghetto call me Don Cartagena, kicking ass as I blast off this heat. And you never see me talk to police, so you should know I don't really care. Pull you by the hair, slit your throat, and I'll leave you right there."
Can you imagine though, like Boricua, just proud of Big Pun, like doing it, like. Oh,
dude, New York was probably on fire for all this. Like,
he put it on the.
Because if you're not black, the other minority that you got to deal with, Latinos, and the main people out there in New York are going to be the Puerto Ricans or the Cubans.
Yeah.
And it's like, this might have been the very first instance besides the, you're dealing with like besides Celia Cruz or stuff like that. But like you had a man represent the Latino artists out, the Latino scene out there,
right,
but rapping,
right.
So it's like people can actually be like, oh yeah, I like rap too, but like this guy kind of does it for us. It's like when in boxing, a lot of Latino boxers during this time in '98, like there's not a lot of good Puerto Rican fighters, and then all of a sudden in the welterweight scene you had Felix Trinidad. So it's like, okay, great. So I don't have to root for Oscar De La Hoya or Julio Cesar Chavez anymore. I got Felix Trinidad from Puerto Rico. And everybody in New York loved that dude. Everyone loved Tito.
And that was the thing too, is like Big Pun was there. I think him and Fat Joe were there during one of those fights as well.
Yeah, I think he mentioned if it was the De La Hoya Trinidad fight, it's one of the most impactful fights in boxing, but we're not here giving a boxing pay-per-view lesson. But it was both of them were undefeated at the time. Both pound for pound the best welterweights at the time. So that was cool that he was there.
It was in 1999 where Big Pun was there.
Was it De La Hoya Trinidad?
De La Hoya Trinidad.
Yeah. So it's funny that you mentioned that because that fight was billed as the fight of the millennium.
Crazy. So like, the planets aligned there too. I just think like I was asking Mark earlier, I was like, well, who else can we even put in the same vein as Big Pun? Like,
there's gonna be people in the comments that are gonna like show off, like maybe Kid Frost.
Kid Frost. I saw Kid Frost.
Kid Frost is gonna be there. He's
still doing his thing.
Cypress Hill. Cash from the Alcoholics or the Alcoholics in general. But we're talking platinum status, first album out. That is the bar that we're dealing with. This isn't, we're not talking about, this is a gentleman that came up to plate, pointed at the stands, hit a grand slam, first pitch.
Right.
This is what we're dealing with.
Yeah, that's hard to compare to for anybody to even meet that standard. But like you mentioned, there are others that have an honorable mention.
Yeah.
Cypress Hill being one of them.
Absolutely.
But to the level of Big Pun, I mean, that is another scenario, another story.
I like the Easter egg that they put in for this song. Little first and little last into the last verse where he says, "Yeah, and you don't stop. It's still 187 to an undercover cop."
Nice.
So
that's a nice Easter egg there. To
just to let you guys, let you guys know, it's still weighing 187 on an undercover cop. With that,
and how dope is it that it's coming from these guys? Like like just giving dap to Snoop, and to Dre. F the police, squeeze first, make them eat dirt, take them feet first through the morgue and let them lodge in the deep earth. The streets cursed.
Bars like
First
that, the
Amendment.
deep earth.
Yeah, I know, right? The deep earth. Damn.
Not just
in the
not
deep
just
earth.
6 feet deep. No, like you're being like jettisoned into the bowels of the earth's core.
Correct. Man, dude, I'm like mind blown. Honestly, like when you take a look at these lyrics,
and you know what's crazy is that this is a little deli slice,
right? Correct.
Of like the whole part of this album, because Capital Punishment as a whole, we like if we went, this would be a longer
for track.
Yeah, this would be a longer podcast.
I think it was 19 tracks or something like that. I don't know, probably even more.
Well, not include because they had a couple skits. It had a couple skits included as a track.
True.
But it's like we're dealing with the album that has so much. It's like a variety. It's like a variety pack.
Yeah.
You get all the flavors that you need. You get your hit single with Joe doing the chorus.
Yeah.
You get the actual, you get your first I'm Not a Player song, but with the OJs on it.
Right.
And then you get a homage to an older beat from 1992 with Deep Cover, with him and Fat Joe going on it.
Yeah. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
That's what it
This
is.
is
I mean, just straight
these
up.
are all the reasons why we're dealing with the platinum album.
Right. Yeah. And when I brought this album up, like it was a no-brainer. All of us were like, "Yep, we knew it was coming."
Yeah.
Like we knew that was coming. You know, Big Pun is one of those lyricists that he's up there, and it's one of those benchmark albums that like I knew that we were going to cover one of these days, and you know that's what we're doing. But before we started this episode, Mark was putting me on to one of the tracks on here. What was it?
Tres
Leches.
Yeah.
And I couldn't remember if I heard it or not. I'm like, man, did I miss this? Did I skip it by accident or something?
Yeah.
So we listened to it, and I was mind effed, dude, because first of all, I mean, I'm a big Prodigy fan. I love Prodigy a lot. I even pay homage to him myself in one of the tracks that I've done, and highly respect the dude.
Yeah.
His voice is one of those voices in hip hop that's like, you know, it's a sound of the streets. Like that's what his voice is. And so when I heard him on that he did a track with not only Big Pun but with INS, Inspector Deck.
Yeah.
And then Inspector Deck's one of those dudes that I was telling Mark, he's always in the right place at the right time. And he's kind of like Robert Ory, man. He shows up and he's like with the best of the best, and like, and Inspector Deck
and does his role. Yeah.
You know, he's not going to like give you any like bull, like he's going to bring that.
Yeah. He's always trying to get that first, that best verse out of the song.
Right. And I was telling Mark, man, it was such a tragedy. Like that that his beats or whatever got mixed up in the flood of RZA and all that. And that he didn't get his, you know, his album that would have been, you know,
especially like, during that time of like Liquid Swords.
That would have been so hot, like around the time of Liquid Swords, Cuba Links, and Dirties and Meths. Like, man, during that time,
that would have been it.
I know Inspector Deck would have murdered that whole thing, dude.
Yeah. So this track, talk to us about it, Mark. What is it? So with Tres Leches, we're dealing with I show Isaiah this track, and it's still like we're dealing with Prodigy from Mobb Deep. Then you have Inspector Deck going on the second verse, and then you have Big Pun giving him a blessing at the very end. 3 different styles. So you think of like, even in the Kung Fu sense, you have 3 different Kung Fu masters with their own style.
And they're like beginning intro before each of them come in is sick. So there's some scratching that's done here. And there's even like a mixture of that rapper's own voice in the scratches, and then they come in. So it's like you know, it's one of those things where it's like you just hear the mention of somebody and it like excites you.
And it cuts in. There's a lot of I like the fact that they do give respect to Rakim, because this is from a lot of these cuts are from I Ain't No Joke. So it's like, remember P, the one you got your whole style from. And then it cuts into Wake Up, you see I stare in your face, you seem stunned. And then it goes, Remember Me, the one you got your rhyme style from.
Man, dude.
With a lot of
the way that's just interweaved from like one dope MC to another, dude. That's the thing about hip hop, man. You can take something and just make it your own, and then it's like recycled again, and it becomes that much more.
It becomes
special.
It
becomes new again, and I love that artists like take Rakim again, and they make him new to fresh ears by mixing him in the chorus.
The best part I think about it, it's Red Dawn when the mob get on, my outfit stuck on some wild and out shit, all about it. We move Gambit through the overcrowded forthwith on some good Shakespeare shit. I like that. Pull out long fifths, extended clips, point the nozzle and shift your back disc. That's better than saying shotty to the body, chrome to the dome, nine to the spine,
gat to the back,
got to the back. Point the nozzle and shift your back disc. I like that part from. I like that part there. And then so it creeps in. So Inspector Deck gets his own spot on this. Remember me, the one you got your technique from. I wake up, see you stare in your face, you seem stunned. Remember me, the one you got your freestyle from.
Oh man!
And then it cuts again. He's like, remember Deck, I told y'all protect your neck.
Oh my god!
So we get. Bruh. Yeah, exactly. These type of lyrics you're going to find out about later on in life. You might have to find out in a long time.
That's the first time on this show that headphones came off, bro.
My blade swung, decapitate your snake head, slit your snake tongue, make one false maneuver, you a mystery, unsolved. Shout out to Unsolved Mysteries. Yeah. The mob that we rob automatically involved. Muscle-bound sounds surround commercial thugs. Rock turtle doves, flowery suit and purple gloves. A little shout out to Prince, maybe.
Man, dude.
Me and you can have some fun, make it blast, but you couldn't take the impact with steel shoulder pads. So this is descriptive, prime, Inspector Deck.
Everybody on this track is
the best verse that they can provide in 98, and I like that.
And you imagine you're following up Prodigy, you're following up Inspector Deck. Both of these guys already give you history, you know.
Oh yeah.
And they're prime. They're still prime right here. You know, and then you add Big Pun coming. And I was telling Mark, like, you hear Big Pun and it doesn't diminish at all who he is as an MC. He follows it up as just one of the three musketeers here. Like, you know, and he's coming.
It's a united front. That's the beauty that, like, with different styles aside, you still see them like.
All of them are just fantastic.
Yeah, even with Inspector Deck finishing off, move mountains with my presence alone before the world's ripped through the microphone. Chrome dip lyrics are known to split stone. You private eyes hone in, but you can't seem to clone. Close it off.
So, yo, Big Punish is ready. Prodigy Deck with me. QB, Shaolin, Bronx Trilogy. Lyrically, hazardous for your wealth. Swing on your world's peace. Dude, this dude is coming with it, dude.
Drive by your dwelling, got the weapon right behind your melon. Ain't no telling when the bullet's behind the trigger. I do it live and Pulitzer Prize winners. You couldn't survive if I chose you, froze you from ear to ear, showing your whole vocal. There's a lot, man. And it's just, you don't, I don't know, like, you don't get a lot of each artist. That's what I like about it. You just get them the one verse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's literally tres leches because you got three layers to deal with.
Exactly.
And each one has their own flavor.
Right. And then at the end here, we get a little cut, and they shout out RZA. The RZA.
Yeah, and he produced this beat. It's actually,
yo, what's the P?
So some other DJs actually spinning on this. So yeah, man, so you could tell it's a RZA beat. You could tell like there's kung fu elements to it because I could be strong to assume that there's a couple samples I probably used from a kung fu joint or something.
Now, part of me, because I mean I'm going back to that line from Inspector Deck again.
Yeah.
You know, protect your neck. Was he the one that said that in that song, or that was the chorus? I know, but he didn't mention it in his verse either. Inspector Deck didn't say protect your neck. That was RZA.
No, RZA says it in the introduction, and then it fades out at the end. Let's protect your neck. Let's protect your neck.
It's crazy how like it's not synonymous, but it sounds, the articulation of that, like protect your neck sounds like Inspector Deck. You know what I mean?
Oh, like he should have used it from the jump.
Like, almost like he would have said that or could have said that. But yeah. Anyways, all in all, like
tres leches.
Yeah, this
it's barely coming to me about the tres leches with the layers of flavors and shit.
Dude.
That's fucking dope.
It's a dope name to begin with for this track. Legendary track. I really, this one was one of those tracks to me that slipped under the radar. Like I didn't even know this was out here. You know what I mean? So this is gonna be one that I'm definitely gonna be replaying for sure. Like Yeah, how could you not, dude? With Prodigy's already one of my. These are three of my like favorite rappers right here on the same track. Like, that's nuts. So all in all, like, listen through, and we barely touched the surface of what this album is. By the way,
we're really on the first part of the tres leches of this whole album.
Exactly. But all in all, like, listening through this, what's your takeaway, Mark, on this album?
I wish we had more Big Pun.
Yeah.
That's what when you hear something like this, a lot of what ifs, damn, what could have been.
Yeah.
You're glad you had the best possible outcome off the jump with this album.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's no, oh damn, what if Capital Punishment got platinum? No, bro, it did. What if Capital Punishment actually got nominated for Best Rap Album? It did.
What if you rap with Prodigy and Inspector Deck? It did.
Yeah. So luckily you don't get a lot of what ifs solved off the jump with a gentleman who passes later on.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
This is as good as you're going to get because of what you're dealing with now, because Big Pun's not with us anymore. Mm-hmm. So we have the ultimate version of what we could have got with no excuses.
All here.
Yeah.
All here. Yep.
And I mean, this is the peak, because his next album after that didn't sell well, and you could tell that it's evident in the next album that he does it's just not there. So
do you think do you think true with a lot of artists? Because a lot of the rappers we covered, it's their first debut album that's like crazy good. You know what I mean?
So this is, a lot of people say that just like it just wasn't. It wasn't there, I don't know, vocally, lyrically. Yeah. I don't know what they're trying to say on it, but it's like his next album debuts a couple of months after he passes away, or before, something like that, like around there. But it still just didn't take off as much as Capital Punishment did.
Yeah.
So, like I really,
it matters too, the time and place you're also writing and putting this together, recording, all those things factor into an album's production as well. So, who knows, on that, maybe there's some other reasons why it didn't have the exact sound as this one did.
Yeah. But then now I'm just glad,
aligned
I'm just glad we had this one, this is us as a hip hop collective observing Halley's Comet passing by.
Exactly.
We get to all see it. It happens. It's not going to happen again with this particular artist. So we should just revel in the fact that, hey, we all saw it.
Yeah.
We all get to see it. This gentleman is immortalized at this point.
It's like Andre's example of like that guy hitting that $1 million shot or whatever first time. That's kind of like an example here of him hitting it out the park first try. Like
the varieties here. This is not just a one-dimensional album.
No.
This is all facets of Big Pun, whether it's just the hyper lyrical side, whether it's the, catchy single R&B side with Joe, doing a little bit of R&B side. But then you get the middle ground too, where he's able to, talk gangster life. Has even a couple gangster skits involved in this as well.
Exactly, yeah.
And you have the unapologetic nature of this gentleman who just enjoys himself and just enjoys
the lavish life.
Yeah. So it's just, it touches a lot of bases and the appeals there as well.
Yeah.
For a lot of people.
Yeah. I want to say he's made a big mark for the Latin hip hop scene, or even just as an artist in general, we can say. And that's cool. That's cool because, you think that hip hop might be predominantly, one culture. Right. And it's weird how it's now evolved and taken off, to be other cultures as well.
Yeah.
We see, I see nowadays, like on TikTok, there's a guy, Sean Price, people might recognize that name.
Yep.
He does a thing where he gets artists or rappers from around the world who rap on, and they rap sick from around the world, and does tracks with them and everything, and they go big and all that. So it's kind of cool to see how hip hop has become more open, where there's other people that are tapping into it, and that's only going to make hip hop, even better, because we'll have a variety of different upbringings and what they bring to hip hop, or, or how hip hop has unified the world, in a sense. So it's kind of cool because, Big Pun was early on that, on tapping into that. I mean, yeah, there was other Latin rappers and stuff, but like you said, it's hard to compare anybody to him, because he hit this bar of platinum out the gate.
I really like, besides maybe a couple of reggaeton artists, I don't think none of them reach platinum status with just being even coming close to mimicking his style.
Right.
You have to go super commercial to achieve platinum status and be, fall into the same category even as rap and hip hop.
Right. Exactly.
It's a huge deviation. Huge.
So, I mean, my takeaway is from this, his style, for one, is something that I'm always astonished at every time I hear this guy. He's very consistent. He has a big presence, even being gone. He's always one of the names, like, I believe that I would mention as far as one of the top MCs for me, top 10 MCs. His name falls in there for me. And I just appreciate his style, his delivery, the cadence, unapologetic of who he is. And to me, he's dope, man. He's dope. So if you haven't checked out this album, which I don't know how that's even possible.
Get out of that rock you're under and
go listen to Capital Punishment and get punished, because that's what it feels like. He puts everybody through, like, this guy's bad, dude. This guy's bad. So you're welcome if you haven't heard.
Yeah, exactly.
So this has been a nice episode. You and me held it down. Next week, I don't know who we'll cover, but we'll talk about it amongst ourselves with Dre, and it'll be good having Dre back, added to the cast again. And we appreciate everybody who's listened to us, who supported us. Mark also has a thing. He's doing the pins. So check out his site. Tell them a little bit, like, where they could get that.
Oh, yeah.
Mark.
So the Notorious Pin is a proud sponsor of That's Hip Hop. Feel free to check out the Notorious Pin on Instagram at L Notorious Pin. That's EL Notorious Pin. And
we also follow you guys on TikTok too, so you guys can see our follow is Notorious Pin on TikTok as well. Yeah. So you guys can check that out.
And the website, thenotoriouspin.com. But again, this is I want to stress this fact. There's a lot of hip hop podcasts that we're up against in the world of podcasting. It feels that a lot of people like to do podcasts as some such of run, like a run of the mill thing.
Since the pandemic, for sure. Yeah.
There's a lot of experience that comes between the likes of myself, Isaiah, and Andre. But there's not a lot of hip-hop podcasts that are going to get you a pretty legit freestyle episode every 10 episodes. If we did it every episode, it'd be overkill. It'd be like nice. They would just be too much lyrical, spiritual, supernatural miracles.
Yeah.
But I think every 10 episodes is great, up to the point to where we can just give them a nice taste. And like, not a lot of hip-hop podcasts have XMCs with a little perspective on that. There's just a lot going on with this podcast, and that's why I'm excited. When you presented the idea to me, I was a bit reluctant off the jump, but when we actually came together and sat with it, I'm like, hey, this is live.
Yeah, man. I'm so grateful for you, Dre, and, us coming together. God put us together, for a reason, and I'm like, we're all three here. We live in the same city. Like, why not? Why aren't we doing this? We all have a love for this. Like, let's talk about it. So, so if you guys have supported us thus far, man, we really thank you and appreciate you. But if you're checking us out for the first time, man, follow us and find us on TikTok, on Instagram, whatever.
Wherever you guys find your favorite podcasts.
Yeah, we want all the hip hop heads to let's get together, man. Talk this stuff, man. So, every Monday, we're dropping new episodes. Follow us, and we'll continue to journey on to the next album. Who knows what that will be? Peace.